great. Well, thanks for joining us, Dave. I really appreciate it. So, did you grow up? What state did you grow up in?
Ohio.
Ohio.
I was born in Akron.
Okay. And when did you start playing drums?
When I was about, well, actually, I won a little contest when I was about 12 years old. The
Hmm.
school was having a contest of different acts and everything, and I just took a pot,
Yeah.
cut the handle off, took a paint can, an empty gallon paint can, fastened them together so I get that tick, tick, boop, boop. And my mom had bought me a record. I forget what the name of it was. So my act was going to be, I'm going to play these bongos to the, and I actually won because you know why? Drumming was a thing that was really interesting to people, more
Hmm.
so than anything else. Here's I'm up on the stage just playing on these little drums, and everybody's yeah. Where there were better acts, I really think, but I won the contest. So that was 12, and then when I was about 16, I decided to get a drum set, and
Hmm.
there were some great Japanese drum sets at that time, and I could afford that. I think I got my first Japanese drum set for $100,
Oh,
and it was
yeah.
really good. I mean,
Hmm.
it was real nice shells and everything. Didn't know anything about them then because I was just coming into the industry. So I bought that $100 Japanese drum set, and I started playing with groups or
Hmm.
maybe even a single, depending on what was going on at the time.
Hmm.
And we eventually, believe it or not, back in those days, drum players and musicians were you couldn't find them.
Oh.
Oh, they took you couldn't find a band anywhere. Usually, not around Ohio.
Hmm.
Maybe in the corner of Akron or something. There might be a couple guys playing together, but no real musicians
Yeah.
playing. And rock and roll was starting to come out.
Hmm.
So more and more guys were picking up instruments because they really liked it. So of course I got my drum set, worked with some guys, and we started playing the rock and roll. And then I found out later that I enjoyed more making things for my set and making it work better than I did actually playing.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So, about how old are you now at this point?
I am 79 now.
Okay. And then when you realized, hey, I love playing, but I want to start, maybe developing and modifying drums, tell me about that part of your life.
Well, I had no intention of doing anything like that, like working for anybody. But what happened was after I moved out to California, and the reason why I'm out here was to play professionally, full time.
Hmm.
Couldn't do that in Akron.
No, no.
No, they didn't. They worked the band just once a week, maybe in a big club or something. But out here, my aunt, who comes from California to meet my mom, when she found out I played music, she went with me and says, "Hey, if you guys like playing, come out to California. They work bands 6 nights a week,
Wow.
everywhere." She
Yeah.
says, "There's not enough bands."
Mm.
So eventually I saved the money and I was serious about coming out.
Hmm.
But I was a machinist, so I was fortunate enough to have something I could make money the minute I got here because they were paying really well
Hmm.
back then. So I almost didn't go into playing because I was doing real well making working in the machine shops.
Yeah. So, about what year would you say this was when you
Oh,
moved
gee,
there?
when you start asking me years, that's going to be difficult. I've never kept track
That's
of the
okay.
years.
That's all right.
But let me see. I was 18. I was born in 1946.
Hmm.
46, 56, 66, around 67s is
Yeah, late
somewhere.
60s, somewhere in there.
Yeah, I remember Louie Louie. It was a brand new song when I moved here.
Ah, yes,
You remember
yes.
the
I
song?
do. I do. Huge hit. So you're working a day job, and then you're playing drums, and then
No, I'm not playing drums at this
oh,
time. I'm
okay,
just working as a machinist.
okay.
Then eventually, yeah, okay, I want to start looking around. So I started asking around. I'd go hear a band, say, "Do you know anybody or anybody that's looking now?" I wasn't really anxious,
Hmm.
but I was wanting to do it now.
Yeah, yeah.
Not anxious though. So I'd take the time, and finally they said, "We know of a gentleman that works out at this one place. He does a single.
Hmm.
Maybe he might want to work a drummer."
Hmm.
So I went out there, talked to him. He said, "Man, I'm glad you came in." He said, "I'm really getting tired of playing by myself. Nobody to bounce anything off of, nobody to
Yeah.
work with, practice with." He says, "Sure." And he actually took half, he got a certain amount to
Hmm.
play.
Yes.
But for us to work around, he cut that in half so I could have the other half.
Wow.
That's how.
That's fantastic.
Oh, but then after we started getting good,
Mhm.
we started getting the same wage he got in the beginning. You know, we're starting to make the same,
Yes, yes.
much better wage.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. So tell me how your association started with Rogers.
Okay. I lived in Lakewood, California at the
Mhm.
time, and CBS Musical Instruments was just down the freeway in Fullerton. But I didn't know that.
Mhm.
But like I said, I was always making some dumb thing for my drum set. So I come up with this drop clutch. And the reason why I came up with that, and in fact, I'll tell you what I made that out of. You know those little music stands that have that snap?
Yes, yes.
That I cut all that out.
Okay.
Modified that so when I push the pedal down, it would pick up the cymbal. When I hit the lever, it drop it, so I could play because I had double bass drums. And at the time, I was playing with somebody that would change from where I used these to where, but they'd always have to wait till I raised my hi-hats back up at the right height to play them. So this, I had them at the right height, drop them, go back right. Never missed a beat. Just, you know.
Nice.
Okay, so my wife, she's the reason. She says, that is cool. That's one of the first things I ever did that she actually looked at and said, that's cool. I think she used the word cute,
Yeah.
but that means the same thing. A guy would say, oh, that's awesome, cool. She said, that's cute. You ought to do something with that. Never thought of it. Well, okay, so I asked around, looked around, any places out here that makes instruments. Oh yeah, CBS Musical Instruments, big. Rogers Drums. Oh, I knew Rogers Drums. There's a whole story behind that, but I'll get to that. I know what questions you're going to ask me. So I call Rogers. I got a hold of marketing. Actually, let me through. I says, I have a product idea I'd like you to look at. I'm a drummer. I play drums, so this is appropriate to the drum set. I think you'll like it. It's nothing like it. They said, sure, come on down. So I came down and set up. I brought a hi-hat stand with me, so they wouldn't have to go looking for this stuff. You know, I just set it up and put that on there, and I went, well, it's just what I call instant. They looked at that, and I swear their eyes came out of their head. They thought that was really something. There was no even bargain. He says, we'll take it. How much you want for it? I forget what I sold it for. I think it was $800 at the time. But at the same time, after they settled with that, they said, would you be interested in maybe working for Rogers Drums as one of our product designers? Because it looks like you may have the ability. I said, well, no, not really. I really love playing. They said, well, what do you make by it? I said something. They said, oh, we'll pay you a lot more than that. Do you get paid vacations? No. Do you get paid anything? Insurance, health insurance? No, we can give you all that. They talked me into it.
Wow.
I had to tell my band I got a much better offer. When I told them, they said, we'd take it too, to be honest. So I wasn't hurting them at all because they know that would be stupid not to take that. So my first day I go down there and I go into, they show me around, take me into the design room. And it kind of looked like this, drums all over the place, stuff on the floor. It looked like you'd break your neck if you didn't know your way around there. So I'm sitting there waiting for marketing to come down to talk to me. But the guy from Rhodes Piano walks in there and he says, I don't know what they hired you for. I'm going, what do you mean by that? He says, Rogers Drums is losing money, man. They're not going to last. You have to come up with something really big time or you're out of job. This guy was kind of cruel anyways. And I said, wow, man, I didn't know that. They were in the red. Yeah. Wasn't making money, Rogers. So they come down there and I talked to them about that. They said, well, that's true, Dave. We did hire you to see if you could do something. Do you think you could come up with something? And I thought about it for a minute and I said, yes.
So this is the early 70s,
This is where it's coming.
Yeah. Okay.
I said, I think I can. When I had all the money I needed to buy any drum set I wanted, I passed on Rogers because your hardware sucks. What do you mean? I said, it's no good. It's hard to set up. It's not strong. And one guy said, that's what we hang our hat on. I said, yeah, but your hat's losing it. It's not working. If it were up to me, I'd totally redesign your hardware system. He said, okay, you got any ideas? I said, as a matter of fact, I do. I'll bring my drum set in tomorrow and show you. Now, how that came about was when I had that money, what I did buy, I bought a Slingerland set because it had this red satin flame finish.
Oh, yeah.
I said, wow, that's beautiful, but I didn't like the hardware on that. So I'm looking around, I'm going to buy that drum set, but I'm looking around and I look at Sonar hardware and I said, now that's nice hardware. Then I looked at the holders and I looked at the holder. I said, yes, I could buy Sonar hardware and put it on my Slingerland drum because I can make a little plate that'll cover up a few of the little holes. I can mount it in there real good. So I loved that hardware. It was strong. But every time I'd go to set it up, I couldn't put the drums back in the same place. I didn't have the height, nothing. So I was working as a machinist also during that time and playing on weekends. That was good. So I decided I want to do something here. And that's where I was thinking about how can I position this stuff every time? I need to make a clamp that goes around the arms. Okay, then what's going to position? Oh, I'll put a pin coming out of that clamp. Here's the clamp, goes around the thing, and a pin coming out. And then I'll have a hole in the receiver of the drum so that wherever you clamp this, you have to line that hole up and go in there, and then it already had its own clamp. Sonar had already a clamping mechanism.
It would receive that pin.
Right. So it had to go into the pin. I already had that on my whole drum set from playing before. So I said, I'll bring in my drum set and show you.
Yes.
And I told them, they understood that I did not buy the Rogers because of the hardware. So they understood that, but they're anxious to see what I had. So I got something you might be interested in. So when I brought it in, nobody was there. So I called up marketing. Roy came down first, Roy Burns.
Roy Burns, yes.
He looked at it and said, this is good, buddy. This is real good. I know they'll do this. If they don't, I'll tell them to because, yeah, he's checking it for position. He was playing with it, you know. So marketing comes down, and they look at it. It was right away. Yes, this will definitely work. This is brand new hardware. It's got memory in it, and oh yeah, we got to do this. And then they got to look at it and says, why don't you make the tubing bigger? Because I think Sonar is about 5/8 in diameter. They said, why don't you try bigger tubing? I said, okay. So when I was doing all the prototypes, I used about a 7/8 tube. They came down and said, no, we want it bigger. We want it bigger. All right. I said, it already looks like sewer pipe. I mean, it's almost ridiculous looking. I thought because Sonar looked nice and slim and trim. No, they wanted something they could stand on.
And this is the biggest tubing in the industry because no other company had big arms, right?
I mean, this 1 inch.
Yeah, that's big.
And when they said 1 inch, I almost said, I don't want to do this project. That's going to look stupid. But they said, it'll look ballsy, right? Rock and roll, right?
And music is changing over the last 5 or 6 years. Drummers are playing harder, drums are moving, so this is perfect timing.
Yes, it was. And so they said, go for it. And that's what we did. We went for it and, did all the designs and make the castings and all the stuff that would make it a product, a manufactured product that looked finished. And boy, the stuff some of the drummers, the ways they could set up stuff was blowing me away. It was really cool for its time. I mean, we had a drummer come down there one time. I forget what band he was with. I think Whitesnake, the drummer for Whitesnake or something.
Tommy Aldridge,
he was sitting behind, sitting behind the drums, and he said, "Now you loosen the clamp, and then you tighten." He said, "Oh, okay." No, I want, and he went to move the drum without doing it. He almost broke the receiver out of the shell. That's how tight. He said, "Oh, I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry." He said, "Boy, that stuff stays, don't it?" Yes, it does. And so that became a hit. But I may have mentioned this to you before, but when we first called our dealers and show them what we had, we ticked them off. They were mad
Really?
because they said, what are we going to do with all this stuff we have in stock? We'll never sell it if we put this in. And then if we take the time to sell all this stuff, to take it in, we'll lose a lot of sales. It was a nightmare. And I don't know how they worked it out, but they did.
Wow. So Memory Lock was a hit. The dealers saw it. It was incredible. And we're making Memory Lock drums now, right?
Well, it's on just about every major. It's a real good additions that they made to it. They've improved it a little bit, which you would expect to happen. And it's just like, but the concept is exactly, it locks the thing on the tube and your drum lines up with that in one way or another. Some of them did it really neat. My way was a little archaic because I wasn't a real engineer, but it looked good. It worked okay. I think how we had it, the receiver went into the clamp and then it locked down on the clamp itself. The screw went down and but that was we were real proud of that. And it all started because I went there with the drop clutch. I could have showed them the first double pedals I made where you had a pedal over here, one here, and you could play double bass drum on one pedal. I came up with that. The greatest idea I ever had in this industry where I really missed it. This is the one I really missed. The mics clamped on the drums. I did that. Now, if I had it to do all over again, I would have had that patented. I come up with that back in the late 60s. I had that because we were micing drums by then, and some of the stages you couldn't get all the room stands and stuff around the drums. Just couldn't get them in. So we'd have to just put overheads and try to pick it up that way. So I said, man, there's got to be a better way to do this. And I just got to look at it and said, I know what I'll do. I'll make a clamp that's got a holder at the top that can adjust, and I can put a mic into it. Not giving it a thought, that would be the only way they mic all the drums today. You look at any concert, any stage, the only boom stands you see are the overheads. I missed that one because that would have been so simple to patent. Nothing like it ever. I could have patented that and then license it to each individual microphone manufacturer so they could design their own type of clamp. In other words, I would have had it patented that anything that clamped to the drum here, here, or here, on the rim, the screw, or the counter hoop, patent that. So nothing can clamp to the drum with the mic on it. Okay, that would have been easy enough to get that patent. And I should have done that and then just go to each drum microphone manufacturer and just says, I just want to license this to you. You make the clamp any way you want, and so it'll fit your mic the way you want it. You might want some adjustment up and down, not just here, maybe a little up, however you want, and just a little royalty of every microphone manufacturer. That's the one I missed.
I see.
I think that's just as big as Memory Lock. It could have been. Just a royalty. I wouldn't have had to make a thing. So, I probably wouldn't be sitting here talking to you because I own a place in India or something.
You'd be on your yacht, right?
Yeah, I'll be on my yacht. That's right.
So with Memory Lock tom holders, it evolved to all the stands too.
Yeah.
Memory Lock.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, we ran into a little bit of problem with that because you had to take the stands apart, and they took up 3 times the room because of the pieces, so their drum bags were really full. And a lot of people didn't like that, but they sure liked the idea they put that one cymbal stand down, it tilts in the right direction, everything's perfect for that, the height of your stool, everything. Watch the guy set up his whole drum set in a minute, something. In fact, I think they had a video on that. Just he comes walking in, whole drum set, there it is, cymbals, everything,
So when I was a kid, I remember going into a music store. I was in high school. It was like 1981. And I remember seeing a drop clutch on for sale. I go, that's the coolest thing. And then I bought a Rogers Memory Lock stand because it was just so ingenious, and they gave me the catalog, and I looked, and there's so many endorsees of all styles of music, from rock to jazz, Harvey Mason, Craig. So did you work with any of the artists on all this?
Yeah, a lot of them. More so when I went to aquarium.